Okay. All right, thanks all for joining us here for the live stream. Of course, we do Night Beat 8:30 every weeknight, and tonight we're going to just talk all weathers. We have this winter storm moving our way, and some pretty dangerous wind chill values as well, 10 to 20 below zero for many of us. There have been some closings, cancellations coming in on WIBW.com, so make sure you're checking that. There's not going to be snow on the ground tomorrow morning, so I don't expect to see a whole bunch of schools closing tomorrow because of snow. There'll be snow coming in by late in the afternoon in areas like Concordia, Washington, maybe Clay Center, but most of the area stays snow-free until tomorrow in the evening. Right now outside, things are fine, so if you're doing some last-minute preparations before the winter storm, there's no issue with any snow or rain or anything out there as far as precipitation goes at this time. Check out the latest from the Prairie Band Casino and Resort Live Storm Tracker. I'll have to find out what this is, but that beam coming from the National Weather Service radar near Alma and spreading way off to the east. That might be something blocking the radar, but I'm definitely going to have to find out what that is. That is not something I want to see, especially as we get close to tornado season. I don't want any sort of funky things on the radar, but I have to find if something got constructed or what is up with that. Here's what's up with your storm that's coming. This is the HRRR, the High Resolution Rapid Refresh model. I'm going to go through a few kind of nerdy things here with you. Actually, let's go ahead and do this first. I'm going to jump ahead and just show you the breakdown of this before I start getting into the long-winded nerdy stuff. So here's the timing on your storm. We're dry tomorrow morning, but I've mentioned this a couple of times. Just make sure your kids, if they have to be at the bus stop, that they are dressed warm, very warm. Wind chill 0 to -10. My kids have been sick the last couple of days, so I'm hoping to get them back in class tomorrow. But you know, I'm sure a lot of your kids have been dealing with the same sickness that's going around. Somehow I've avoided it, which is good, obviously. But either way, make sure your kiddos are bundled up in the morning if they have to be at the bus stop, and make sure they're not out there any longer than they have to be. Because at 8 a.m. the wind chill 0 to -10. You'll want your thick coat and gloves too. Here's 4 p.m. tomorrow. If we have any snow, it's very light, so the bus stop in the afternoon should not be an issue for buses to get around. The evening commute should be fine as well. Here comes a problem, is for basketball tomorrow evening. Of course, we have the 13 sports team will be out covering basketball games as best they can tomorrow, and probably some of these will be canceled or postponed or something. By 9 p.m., we start to get some snow accumulation across the area, and temperatures in the single digits and wind chill values 10 to 15 below zero. It will be really a nasty evening. So there's 10 p.m. tomorrow. As we go to roll us ahead to Saturday morning, we've been snowing now all Friday night into Saturday morning. There should be an inch or a couple of inches on the ground in many spots, and the wind chill here is -10 to -20. As we get later in the morning on Saturday, there may be a break in the snow before the snow kicks back in the afternoon evening. This afternoon evening could be heavier than the first round of snow. So this will wrap up sometime during the wee hours of Sunday morning, staying cold, but the bulk of the snow accumulation should be over with before the sun comes up on Sunday. For accumulations, again, tomorrow, if you're going to be out for a basketball game or whatever it might be, we've got a trace up to 1 inch of snow already by 9 p.m., and this will stick on contact everywhere. Sometimes the snow takes a while before it starts to show up. It's going to be so cold this will stick everywhere very effectively. By 3 a.m. on Saturday morning, now we've got 1 inch or 2 fairly widespread. As we get through the morning hours of Saturday into the afternoon, a lot of 2 to 4s, and we're getting some 4 to 8s showing up. This will continue to climb as we get into Sunday morning. There's 2 a.m. These areas of purple you see down around Yates Center, that's a foot of snow or more. Now, there are computer models that show a foot or more, all the way up to Topeka. It's not likely to happen. Now, the snow crystals that come down many times are dendrites that look like you see on postcards and that kind of thing. As most of the time we see snow in northeast Kansas, it's with temperatures at the cloud level, the snow growth region, that are just a bit below freezing. In this case, the temperature where the the snow crystals are going to be growing is minus 10 to minus 25 degrees. When it's that cold at cloud level, you don't tend to get the pretty snowflakes. You tend to get ice needles. You tend to get cones and not cones, but hollow columns and that kind of thing, and all kinds of plates and different things, all kinds of different wild structures that come down. So one of the difficulties in projecting how much snow will fall is that ice needles don't add up as fast as big fluffy dendrites. So we will see. Either way, it's a widespread accumulation of snow. It will cause a mess. And even if it didn't snow, the wind chill itself is enough to make this dangerous. 4 to 8 inches of snow is widespread across the area. That is a very likely forecast at this point. Now, your pets, make sure that you are keeping them safe from this as well. I mentioned the kiddos at the bus stop. Check in on Grandma and Grandpa. My mom's in southeast Missouri. They're expecting a foot of snow, probably some ice as well. I'm calling and bothering Mom over and over again. You doing okay? You got everything you need? I'm doing the same thing. I'm preparing to make sure my kids are warm tomorrow morning. The things I'm telling you to do, I'm doing those things. I went out today to Dillon's and grabbed groceries. I'm doing pretty much everything I'm telling you to do. I'm insulating I've been putting some things around in my garage to keep it a little warmer in there for these next few days because it's just going to be so cold. So I'm doing a lot of the same stuff as well. I don't have an outside pet. If I did, I would be doing these things. You want to make sure they have a blanket or straw. If the blanket gets wet and icy, it's not going to keep them any warmer. Straw has been recommended by a lot of folks that can keep them warmer because straw doesn't just stay wet. Make sure they've got unfrozen water. The water's going to freeze really quick with temperatures in the single digits. Increase their meal size, more calories, helps their body to stay warmer. And if you can bring Fido in, this is the time of year to do it. Maybe a couple of days a year if you don't bring them in that often, but once in a while it's extremely cold, you just look at those beautiful eyes on Fido and think, okay, come on in. This is that situation as it gets down below zero, 10 to 20 below zero for that wind chill. So a winter storm warning in place. This is official from the Weather Service. They're saying this whole area shaded in pink is 4 to 8 inches of snow, wind chills 15 to 20 below zero, and the snow could even be higher than that in some spots. There's a terrible ice storm also going on. This hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. From just east of Dallas to just south of Little Rock over to close to Memphis, that is an area that could have an inch or more of ice glaze. Some of it could be sleet, but if it comes down as that glaze, and by ice glaze I mean when it comes down and it hits the ground as water and then freezes after contact. If the droplets freeze before they hit the ground as little ice pellets and they bounce as sleet, that's inconvenient, but it's the ice glaze that really can weigh down power lines and tree branches. Once you start getting some power outages in a situation like this, you can have power outages go on for days or even weeks. So hoping that doesn't happen, but that's the bullseye right there from southeast Oklahoma, southern Arkansas, up into Tennessee, where a lot of trees there and power lines, and that could be a big deal. This whole area of purple is all a foot of snow or more in the computer model. So that goes all the way from Boston past Lubbock. So that's a terrible situation setting up. All right, I'm going to back up here and show you some of the other stuff, some computer model stuff that's coming in, and why this situation is kind of unique and a little weird. Okay, so this is the HRRR model, and I want to show you on here, let's just go to the NAM first. This is North American model, and the reason I'm showing you this is to show you how cold it is where the snowflakes are developing. So right there is northeast Kansas. Topeka right there in the blue, minus 7 degrees Celsius. So that's not a terribly cold number. But I'm going to roll this forward to once we get into some of the bulk of the snow there. And there's that's noon on Saturday. And now we're looking at minus 14 to minus 20 are those temperatures are showing there. Usually when it snows around here, that number is something like 0 Celsius down to about minus 5 Celsius. Once it gets down to these values of minus 10 to minus 20, that's when you start getting these really funky shaped snowflakes and things. This same model is the one that I've joked about it many times, just said NAM loves snow, because it does. And when I show you the projection on this, do not count on seeing this much snow, but you can count on it being on Facebook and that kind of thing. People show this kind of stuff raw all the time. Look at those big old numbers. You got 9s, 10s, around Springfield, Missouri showing 2 feet. And that model's not quite done ingesting yet. The last run it had Topeka in double digits. So that's the NAM model that really goes wild with snow a lot of times. Here's the GFS model. This one has got the cutoff right there from Topeka to the south, with folks along the Nebraska state line, it is 2, 3, maybe 4 inches. Everything in this purple is 6 inches or more, and you get to southeast Kansas, and the numbers get bigger and a bit more scary. But the trend overall is that we will see a little less along the Nebraska state line, a little more south of I-70, and then down in Oklahoma to Arkansas, it looks like it's going to be an absolute mess for folks in those areas. So again, this evening we don't have any problems. The storm is not here yet. The Arctic air is not here yet. But once you get to tomorrow morning even, really tomorrow morning, anytime from sunrise on, the wind chill is going to be close to or below 0. So, you know, I'm going to stop and fill up the gas tank on the way home from work this evening, just because the next few days it will not be something I will want to do. I've got enough groceries and all that stuff ready to go. But if you have any of those kind of last minute things to do before it gets very uncomfortable, try to get it done this evening. All right, so if you haven't yet, make sure to download the WIBW weather app. Encourage you to do that. This storm has been pretty well advertised at this point. A couple of days ago, it didn't look to be so bad. It looked just to be cold, but now we're letting you know the snow is going to be a problem. So having the app now is just kind of good practice to see updates coming in. But we start to get into tornado season. I want to make sure that you have this thing so we can get updates to you wherever you might be. And you can set it to have my voice come on, and I'll say a first alert weather update has arrived. And the reason for that is letting you know if there's some sort of danger in the area. So if you're home or in the car or if you're at the grocery store, wherever it is, we can kind of keep you updated. Okay, so here's what happens tonight. Temperatures by sunrise aren't off the charts cold, but still the wind chill tomorrow morning at the bus stop is 0 to -10. Please make sure the kiddos are dressed for this. As we go through the afternoon, this is not winter storm. This is just really cold, and you'll notice, wow, this is a big change, that tomorrow's not going to be comfortable at all at any point. This will be a cold day all day. These days like this where your skin hurts when you get outside to do anything, that's what kind of day tomorrow's going to be. No snow yet, but make sure the kiddos are dressed something like this. Not exactly, I'm sure they're different colors, but you know what I mean. You know, kind of Kenny from South Park, or the kid from A Christmas Story. Make sure the little ones dress something like that as they head out tomorrow morning. In the evening, again, there are some basketball games scheduled. The 13 sports team will be out covering those. You know, I took about 5 minutes to freeze this basketball in the graphics just because I was having some fun with it today. But you know, make sure you're checking WIBW.com or calling ahead to see if these games are canceled. Some things get canceled and postpone all those things. So that's 10 p.m. tomorrow. Snow across the area. That monster snow is already in progress in Oklahoma. This foot or more of snow, that's already going on and building down there. Our snow's not going to pile up like that. But around here, still snowing at midnight tomorrow. We may find a short break in the snow morning to early afternoon tomorrow. Then it comes back in, and the second wave that comes in Saturday night and Sunday morning will be even more heavy than the first round. So 1 a.m. on Sunday, the snow looks like it's tapering off, and it's certainly gone by the time the sun comes up on Sunday. And as far as accumulation, this is 10 o'clock tomorrow. We've got a trace up to an inch. Now, a trace of snow doesn't sound like a big deal, but in this case, because it's all going to stick, and with temperatures this cold, the road crews, and they go out and they put down the different saline solutions and things. Those things don't work very well once you get down to 0 and 5 degrees. They don't work as well. The closer you are to freezing, they're more effective. So colder temperatures, a tenth of an inch of snow on the road, if the solutions don't work, you know, that's a problem. As the night goes on, this is 3 a.m. Saturday morning. We got an inch or two of snow, pretty widespread. As we get to Saturday afternoon, we've got some 4s and 8s showing up. It's a widespread 2 to 4. And then this model, very similar to what I showed you a moment ago, with the drop-off along the Nebraska state line, and it gets bigger and bigger the farther south you go, with folks around Yates Center down to Coffeyville, Pittsburgh, Kansas, probably dealing with a foot of snow. That's a real possibility with this storm. Now, I can't rule out seeing that kind of numbers up here, but probably not getting that up here. The Weather Service did put out some probability numbers earlier that were very interesting. I'm going to back up and show these to you as well, because you just don't see these very often. They're numbers you can find, but it's not something that you know, you're certainly going to be looking for, and I'm not going to show this on TV when it's not interesting, or online, or social media, or whatever. But check this out. These maps show the potential of 6 inches of snow or more and the probability values for that. So you've heard things like 30% chance of rain, 80% chance of rain, all those different things, right? This is a 64% chance of at least half a foot of snow. That's a big number. To be at least 50-50 of having a half a foot of snow, that's a big deal. This is 4 inches or more. You got 80% chance of at least 4 inches in Topeka. That's a big deal. This is scary too. 8 inches or more snow, a 4 in 10 chance. Emporia has a 5 in 10 chance. I mean, those are significant numbers. So again, I'm watching to see what sort of structure the snow comes down as, because that makes a difference as how well it piles up. Those big fluffy dendrites that look like they go on a Christmas card, they pile up faster. Now, if you leave them out for a while, they'll compress. So if you have, sometimes you see reports in the mountains and different places of 70 inches of snow, and it may snow 70 inches. But over a couple of days and hours, without it melting, without it evaporating, the weight of it will just crush it down. It actually becomes smaller over time from the weight. And if you play that out over tens or hundreds of years, it becomes glaciers, as a matter of fact. But for us, if we're looking at dendrites that come down 10 inches of snow, that's one thing. If it comes down as ice needles or those hollow columns and things, they don't add up quite the same. So the amount of snow that comes down is it's a hard thing to project here, but it will be a significant snow cover in the ground. And with temperatures that are this cold, it's going to be hard to get around on for several days. And even Monday could have wind chill values that are 10, 20 below zero. So again, tomorrow, make sure the kids are dressed up for the bus stop. Make sure they are dressed warmly. I don't see a lot of cancellations and closings happening tomorrow. My kids' school is going to have school tomorrow. They're encouraging the kids to bundle up, of course. The accumulating snow begins tomorrow evening. It will last through Saturday morning. By Saturday late morning, afternoon, it may have a little break. It could continue to snow all day. But either way, Saturday all day is 10 to 15 below zero for the wind chill, touching 20 below zero at times. And I do expect to see big areas of at least 4 to 8 inches of snow. And for 13 News at 10, I'll have the latest computer model data coming in. I don't think I'm going to make a big change on this for 13 News at 10. You know, like I said, their computer models like the NAM, they'll spit out something like 14 inches of snow. And that's a joke. I mean, truly, like if you look, weather folks that look at that, you know, those of us that have actually studied this and look at it, we go, yeah, I'm not going to scare anybody with that. If you fish through Facebook and YouTube long enough, you will find some folks that are just fine, you know, scaring you with that to get you to click on it and share it. And you'll see thousands of shares on some of these. Sorry, that's what some people are doing. So I'm not going to try to scare you. I won't try to scare you like that. But 4 to 8 inches of snow is a pretty good guesstimate of this area in northeast Kansas. And I would say that it'll be difficult to get around on Saturday. Sunday's not going to be great either. And Monday, the wind chill likely still going to be some 10 to 20 degrees below zero. Okay, that's the update right now for the night beat. I will see you on 13 News at 10. Thanks for checking in here.